Thank you, Mikhail. And I see Dr. Michael Patrick is here. Nice. Hello. I see all the black boxes. I know there's people behind those boxes. Thank you for being here. Tracy and I are very excited to present the New Mexico AgrAbility project. And we're going to do it in two parts. I'm going to go over the national and give some definitions and some of the policies and procedures, and then Tracy's going to come on and do more of the services that we provide. So before I get started, Tracy, would you like to take a minute and just introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, we're pretty excited about this. We're in our fifth, going on sixth year of the project. We survived through COVID. My name is Tracy Iovlasides, and I run the New Mexico Technology Assistance Program, and I'm one of the 4 partners in this New Mexico AgrAbility project. I think together we bring lots of experience. I've been a rehab nurse for 40 years and running this program statewide. So, and Sonia, she's, our land grant New Mexico State University extension. Probably some of you know her already.
Okay, so we're ready to get started?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Sonia Kukel. I was the Extension Health Specialist in the Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Department. I'm recently retired, yay, January, but my heart is still with the AgrAbility project. Tracy and I were on the ground floor of this. We had two submissions that did not get accepted, but we were always with the funding. If they had had money for one more, that would have been us, and that happened to us twice. But it gave us an opportunity to really fine tune our submission, and I'm happy to say that the partners that we have are the partners that we've always had. We may have gone through some people, but our partners have stayed with us because AgrAbility, it's just something that we all know is needed, and we're happy to provide. So yes, the National AgrAbility Project, it was established through the Farm Bill in 1990. Similar to the Navajo Sustainability Project, the funding and the oversight also comes from USDA NIFA. Mikhail, I think you did say that it was a USDA project. And it's also led by Purdue University's Breaking New Ground Resource Center. The AgrAbility projects consist of both national and state, which are also regional projects. The funding is awarded to land grant universities only, and the land grants are then to partnership with at least one nonprofit disability organization. So the agricultural expertise is provided through the land grant university, and the nonprofit provides the disability expertise. Some of the nonprofits that are partners nationally include Easter Seals, Goodwill, the Arthritis Foundation, United Cerebral Palsy, Osteoarthritis Action Alliance, and AgriSafe Network. And we'll talk about our partner towards when Tracy takes a break. So next slide, please. This shows the AgrAbility projects that are currently funded. Those in the yellow are the ones that are projects now. We're happy to say that we are in our second award funding period. And let's see, the lighter gray states, those were ones that had AgrAbility projects at one time but are no longer funded, but they also stay relevant because they help bring resources and provide collaborations with other states. Those in the dark gray have no project, but that doesn't mean that they haven't submitted. It's just that the funding is limited. So we have 21 currently funded state projects, plus the national project, of course, which I also pointed out was Purdue. And Purdue's purpose is to support the state projects and provide limited services to ag workers in states without those AgrAbility projects. I have to turn off. Okay, so next slide, please. Here's our mission. Our mission is to enable a high quality lifestyle for farmers, ranchers, and all of those who are agricultural producers, those with disabilities. We want to eliminate or at least minimize obstacles that block success in production agriculture or agriculture related occupations. And we do that through education and assistance. Next slide, please. AgrAbility then serves the workers who are limited by any type of physical, cognitive, or illness-related disability. So we're working with people whose disabilities are observable, but also those that you can't see. We have veterans who have PTSD who have done very well with AgrAbility projects, and we are looking to reach out more to our veterans. So here's just some of those that we have on our radar: amputations, arthritis, back impairments, deafness or hearing impairments, developmental disabilities such as cerebral palsy or autism, the disabling diseases such as cancer, heart disease, mental and behavioral health problems, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, respiratory diseases, spinal cord injuries, stroke, traumatic brain injury, visual impairment, and that may not be inclusive. There could be more out there that we just have not yet dealt with. Okay, next slide. Agricultural workers defined at the national level are farmers, ranchers, food growers, or other agricultural workers. We have women in agriculture, veterans, and others who want to enter the vocation of farming. So a desire for farming is also Hispanics, Latinos, our indigenous peoples, and we want to include the family members of agricultural producers who are impacted by disability issues, because those farmers, ranchers, and agricultural producers do not work alone. They have family members who are also impacted by the disability. And sometimes we work directly with the families who are more willing to talk to us about the disabilities than the personal farmer rancher themselves. And Tracy will delve more into that when she talks. Okay, next one. Next slide. So AgrAbility disability defined is the inability or restricted ability to perform actions, tasks, and activities in the individual's social, cultural context and physical environment. So that means where you work, play, live. If there's anything that is affecting your quality of life, that is defined as a disability. Okay, next slide. Our AgrAbility farming, I'm following along over this one here. Okay, our AgrAbility project eligibility. So individuals, in order to be a client for AgrAbility, they must be currently farming or wanting to farm. So you don't have to be farming right now, but you have a desire to farm. You could be one of our clients. You definitely have to have a disability and need accommodation, and you'll need accommodations to work or maintain participation in farm or ranch life. Okay. AgrAbility farming defined. Oh, this is, I mean, whatever you think about growing, whatever can be included in AgrAbility. So cultivating, operating, or managing a farm for profit. And farms can include raising stock for food or fiber, dairy, poultry, fish. We have in Alaska, they have a big fish AgrAbility project. Fruit, produce, orchards, providing range or pasturage, growing and harvesting forages, crops, grains, and then the ag horticultural products, which include tree nuts and ornamental plants. So if there's something that you're farming or growing that's not in this list, we're willing to talk to you because we're pretty sure that it will be covered. Okay, next is the farmers defined. And at the national level, AgrAbility farmers are defined as those again, who are actively engaged in farming, deriving income from such activities, or retired from farming. And the income minimum is set at $1,000 a year. So that pretty much brings everybody into the fold, $1,000 a year for income. And the next slide, please. At the national level, there's some stats in the US farm population, 2008 to 2016. It's estimated that 19% of US farmers, or approximately 395,000 people, and 9% of US farm workers, which is about 134,000 people, have disabilities, or they admit to having a disability. As Tracy will tell you, and you probably already know this because of the work that you do, farmers and ranchers are not really open with talking about any disabilities that they may have. So these numbers, Tracy and I talked about this the other day, these could be low because these are the only the ones that report disabilities. In New Mexico, we have the fourth highest quintile, estimated between 20.6 and 22.9% of farmer disabilities. And again, those are only the people who have reported that they have disabilities. Based on census data, individuals are identifying as having difficulty with any of these 6 health issues, which is vision, hearing, physical, cognitive, self-care, and independent living. Okay, next slide. So these are our New Mexico stats. We estimate 26% of producers may have a disability. Well, we don't, but the reports do that. Roughly 17,000 farmers and ranchers may need assistance related to their disability challenges. And we wonder, we don't know what the demographics are for these producers that are identified here. So we wondered, and if anybody has an answer to this, are there stats available to provide the number of New Mexico indigenous peoples who report as disabled?
That's a real question for you guys to cogitate on, I guess, because what I would say is that a lot of people don't have a disability, but it's not about having a label as a disability. We know that farmers and ranchers, I like to call them food growers because it's growing food for all of us, whether it's a side of cattle or whether it's an acorn squash. So, we just know that that's some of the hardest work possible that is hard on your body. So, I think when we say disabilities, that can put something in somebody's mind, but it's whatever your challenge is. We know arthritis is high. We know back injuries are high. We don't talk about this a lot, but suicide is the 6th highest as far as occupations go because it's hard work and you have limited control. You can't control, the nature around you. It's a hard business and we need to support our food growers.
Right. Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah, so that may be something that we want to delve into and get some reports on. If there are any reports out there on our indigenous peoples and the disabilities that they may be faced with. Okay, so the next slide. It's coming up. It must have, just go ahead and click on it because it looks like Robert made this slide and all the partners are going to come up individually. Just keep doing it because it's going to come up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And there's one, then there's one. Okay, there we go. Okay, go back. Okay, there we go. That's New Mexico AgrAbility. Our initial funding was September 2018 through August 2022. Our new funding started in 2022 and runs through August 2026. Our wonderful partners that we have, of course, New Mexico State University Cooperative Extension Service is the lead because all the funding comes through us. There's Tracy with the New Mexico Technology Assistance Program, and she'll elaborate on their work within the AgrAbility. Mandy's Farm is our nonprofit, and we will provide you some information on that. We also are delighted to have the University of New Mexico School of Medicine Occupational Therapy graduate program. These occupational therapist students have just been so valuable in helping us with farm assessments and our 3D printer that we've been able to make some tools with. And we'll talk about them too in their role. Thank you. So let's see. Okay, so cultivating accessible agriculture as a land grant university extension program. Our task is disseminating evidence-based information to the public, which is the land grant mission. Our services are information and referral, on-site technical assistance, education, training, peer support, and accommodations. So if there are no questions at this point, or if you have a question, feel free to just open your mic.
If you guys have any questions, like what the presenter said, just feel free to unmute yourself, or if you want, you can go ahead and enter your question in the chat box.
This is Marge Lantana.
Hi.
Hi. In one of your slides towards the beginning, you have type of services. I think you have, like, I'm looking for cow and calf, but the closest you have is dairy, raising dairy. Besides dairy, is there a cow and calf an individual can raise in this project?
There's, like I said, I know which one you're looking at. It's slide number 9. If you can pull it up. So that shows what the farms can include.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there. Okay, so that's not inclusive. Those are programs that we have worked with either in New Mexico or at the national level. So if you have a client that you think would fit, then just contact us and we're more than willing to talk with you or meet with them and do an assessment and find out how best we can help link them to resources.
Okay, I think it would fit into that number 1, raising stock for food.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Please don't let this short list limit you in any way. If any of you on the conference call have a question about whether this fits, we're more than willing to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so
Should I go back to your slide?
yeah, we're gonna go to 14, and then because I've gone over that. Okay, so now we're in information and referral. So what Tracy's gonna do, she's gonna go over the services and talk about how all the partners fit in. Okay, Tracy, it's all up to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, you know, there is a certain focus. So it's any food grower that is doing whatever it is to feed people, and we're supporting them and their families. So information and referral is we help anybody, like if any of you want to call, or anybody you're working with want to call and find out, hey, what resources are out there. We want to try to network, get communication going. That's why this is such a wonderful opportunity to talk to you guys. How can we collaborate and work together as 2 different organizations? So we do a lot of promoting and raising the awareness, and we know New Mexico is a word of mouth kind of state, but we do lots of community outreach. We're trying to like go to tabling events and workshops, other workshops and that kind of stuff. We have social media. We do have a particular phone line and email that is specific to AgrAbility. And we're putting out a newsletter kind of in the spring and fall. What are you getting ready to grow and what are you harvesting? And so, yeah, our lead is, of course, the NMSU extension. So that's why our main website is there. So call us if you need anything. So next slide. And I'll just say that since we have these different partners, we have a wide variety of expertise. So the on-site technical assistance is where the occupational therapists, I don't know if everybody know what an occupational therapist does, but it's kind of just what it says. They help you figure out what you need to do if you have trouble doing that occupationally in your life, whether it's work, school, community living. If you need to get stuff done, the occupational therapist to help you figure out how to do that with whatever your abilities are and your limitations. So NMTAP works with occupational therapists to do an on-site farm visit. So if you fall into that category of making at least $1,000 a year and you're having trouble getting some of your farming or ranching tasks done, then, we'll come out and we'll look at what are the options. Is there adapting and using farm equipment tools maybe that are modified for, different mobility issues, arthritis or whatever. Maybe it's just changing the operation of how you do things or making sure the building is easy. Could it be as simple as raised, beds so that it's easier if you have trouble with your mobility and leaning over. So, and so all of this goes to quality of life. We've got to keep our food growers are keeping us alive, and we got to keep our food growers alive. So the quality of life is real important. And there is an aspect of caring about, your emotional and mental status because it's such hard work, like I said.
And
So-
Tracy, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to say that when we do the farm assessments, we don't go in and tell people what they need. They tell us what they need. Like Tracy pointed out before, farmer stress and farmer suicide is very prominent, unfortunately. And we don't want farmers sitting on the porch thinking that they can no longer get up in the tractor. So when Tracy or the occupational therapist go in, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And then we're going to try to help you do that. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you for bringing that up, Sonia. It's definitely about what that farmer needs to accomplish and what does he see as his. We're not authorities coming in and telling you what you need to do. It's what do you find hard, and working together, let's find some solutions. So now the next slide. So a little bit about the NMTAP program. We just go by NMTAP. We all love, Mikkel, I don't know if that's how you say your name.
Yes.
Threw out a lot of, acronyms in the beginning of this presentation. So we know we all love those. We're a statewide program within state government, but we're federally funded, and we're here to increase knowledge, access, and getting assistive technology, or some people call it adaptive technology, for anyone of any age, womb to tomb, throughout the whole state. And this is just the main 7 things that we do. Device demonstrations, I'll quickly say that's where if you have a hearing issue, which with all that farm equipment, often that is an issue, we'll side by side look at several different hearing assistive devices so that that person with that challenge can choose which one works better for them. They try it out with their hands and their ears. Then we can someone could borrow that device of choice for 6 weeks to see, does this really work? I mean, try it before you buy it is the best thing ever, free service for you. We have reused equipment, durable medical equipment, and computers for people with disabilities. We provide some financial loans that are not necessarily low interest, but they're guaranteed. Our program, through our partner, guarantees the loan. So if you need $40,000 to buy a piece of equipment and there's no other way for you to get it, you could borrow money through us, and the bank partner is willing to do that because they know if something happens and somebody's, whatever happens in their life that they really can't negotiate that loan or refinance it, it's guaranteed. So it's a little bit easier to get than a bank loan. And then we do training for groups. I'm happy to come to any of you who might have groups that you would love us to talk about assistive technology so you can learn more in-depth information about that. And then information and assistance, and then technical assistance is changing in our federal guidelines is changing agency or a procedure to make their whole operation more accessible. So within the AgrAbility project, we do device demonstrations, device loans. We could do the financial loans. We do the training and information and assistance. So that's a nutshell of our main program and how we are actively engaged with the National AgrAbility. So the next slide talks about one of our other pillars, I guess you could say, is just education. You know, I mentioned training, but the NMSU, of course, does lots of trainings, workshops, webinars. We have displays. We have lots of printed materials. And the University of New Mexico occupational group, they're actively working with all of their graduate OT students with lots of training so that those occupational therapists that are coming out into the communities will have a better understanding of agricultural needs and the needs of people who are food growers, you know, food producers of any sort. So there's lots of opportunities for anybody to learn about, I really have a back issue. What are some things that, you know, would possibly help me? So education is a big key of what AgrAbility does. So the next slide. Training. You know, I already mentioned this. It's kind of done by all of us. We focus on the assistive technology that is available. There's lots of adapted tools that make it easier. I always think of arthritis as one of the big ones that, you know, I have a disability, but it's really hard for me to turn these knobs. So there's options to make those things easier. Save your energy so that you can really fully produce food. And then Mandy's Farm, this is not on this slide here, but I'll talk to you a little bit more about their training. It's a whole different thing rather than general training. So the next slide of one of the things we like to do. Well, there's Mandy's Farm. Peer support. We'll try to get together some local volunteers. We refer to other groups that can provide support. Let's say if you have Parkinson's now, that might start hindering things. We can try to get you in that way. And we really hope to help cultivate a peer support group of food growers. So, you know, that's all our desire is to host forums and develop resource guides and groups that can support each other in their continued quality of life. So the sixth is next slide, and that's some accommodations. So, you know, we know a lot about assistive technology. Occupational therapists know a lot about modifying how you do things and how do you get around addressing these accessibility issues. How do you restructure that job? Maybe if your energy is all in the morning, farmers usually start pretty early in the morning, but it might be that, you know, whatever, do things when you have the energy. So we all three work together, and Extension does as well, but you know, these trying to come up with what are the accommodations that the farmer and rancher say, this is my issue. I think this might work, or maybe that. Let me try both of these. And then we can give you some resources on, you know, how you could possibly fund. We don't provide funding. The AgrAbility projects do not provide funding directly to purchase things, but we'll certainly give you, you know, work with you to brainstorm about good ideas for accommodations. And then the next slide kind of rounds things out. Just kind of keep going. It's, you know, we've got the website for the whole AgrAbility project. You can see the newsletters there. That picture in the lower left right is on Mandy's farm, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. There's the phone number that I told you is specific and will take you right to AgrAbility rather than, oh, I'm going to call this person and they'll have somebody else call me back. You should be able to get a call back with somebody who can direct who's the right person to answer. We have a Gmail account, New Mexico AgrAbility, pretty easy Gmail account. And then of course you can find information on Facebook for those of you who use Facebook. And then the next slide is really more a visual feast for your eyes. This is one of our food growers that and farmer ranchers that we're working with. And I just wanted you to see the track chair. So she happens to have a spinal injury. And so walking around the farm, and she works with horses and trains horses. I just wanted you to have a visual ability to see that chair has tires that are kind of like a tractor. So they're going to maneuver around that outdoor services that are in our food growers' worlds. You know, she's working with her horses. It's not freaky and scary for them. Her chair can stand her up into a standing position so that she can reach high things. So she's not just, you know, you don't have to modify everything to be at a lower level when it's appropriate. You can't drive that way. It's not safe to do that. But I just thought having a visual of this track chair, and the track chair is, you know, $20,000 to $30,000, depending on what features you want to have. I know people are always interested in that. And then one thing she has that is not shown here is on one of her truck trailers is a lift system. So she uses a hydraulic lift, and those can be, you know, 40,000, 40K and more. So in her situation, I think it's okay for me to share that she pushed and pushed and pushed. So through her health insurance, she got the track chair. And through New Mexico Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, and we'll touch on that a little bit more in a bit, they paid with some, you know, lots of encouragement and struggle, pardon me, are paying for that lift to be put on her truck because she can continue to do her work because she has these assistive technology tools. And then I might ask Sonia to kind of take over, not just because of my cough, for the next two slides, because we did do a 2-day regional, well, we helped the national come out and provide a workshop with SIPI, Southwest Indian Polytechnical Institute. And I wasn't there. So Sonia, can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Oh, I forget that you weren't there. Sorry, you missed it. Okay, that was in September. The National AgrAbility came to me and said that they were wanting to work with indigenous people in a state, and did we have any linkages that maybe we could have a conference here? So I immediately reached out to our Extension Tribal in Gallup and got some Charlene Carr, which some of you may know. She was absolutely wonderful in bringing the right people to the table. SIPI was more than happy to serve as host for this because they had been wanting to get more involvement with AgrAbility. They had actually heard about us, which was good. So it was a 2-day event. It was absolutely free. We invited everybody we could think of. Pueblos, the Navajo Reservation, veterans, anybody. And if you know somebody, invite them as well. There were 69 workshop participants representing 5 states. We had the people from New Mexico, Indiana, Texas, Colorado, and Washington State. There were presentations from 16 individuals from at least 29 different agencies, and they just ran the gamut of information. Some of the titles we put down here on this slide, physical rehabilitation that Tracy's already commented upon: micro scale farming, adaptive tools and technology, worksite assessment, and of course the farmer stress and suicide prevention. That's just a small bit of what we covered in that very exciting 2-day program. And what was even better is that SIPI was just hiring their extension, I think they did call it extension agricultural specialist. So we are now wanting to get back together with them. Maybe we can have another conference and maybe include you all as well, bring more information to people in New Mexico. So something to think about, maybe something to plan together. Okay, next.
Yeah,
Oh.
thank you, Sonia, that's, yeah, we want to partner with the Navajo Nation as much as possible, you know, and how can we, you know, we'll get you guys, you're getting your thinking caps on shortly here, but I know I talked a little bit about UNM and how the occupational therapists are being filled with information. The extension unit, as you know, they're always there for help. I talked a little bit about the assistive technology. Mandy's farm has an apprenticeship program, and they have 10 apprentices this year, and it's a 2-year program. So it is majority people with intellectual development disabilities, but it doesn't have to be restricted to that. They're happy to work with anybody who wants to learn about farming techniques and adaptive tools and just about farming and growing things. So, and the idea is that these people, after their 2-year program, that they'll learn how to, you know, get the chickens, eggs, and how to sell them at a farmer's market, and maybe how to be a small entrepreneur and or work at a larger operation, because it's a skill. And I don't know if I should mention this, but one of the exciting things is we're working on some micro-credentialing for these apprentices to give them some meat when they're looking for, so to speak, when they're looking for a job. So we'll touch on in the next slide just a little bit. I'm not going to read through this, but as you just bring these up, you know, we want to collaborate with the veterans. We know there's so many people have served in that, and the US is real good about training people to be deployed, but a little less good, as we might know, in reintegrating people back into the society after being in those very difficult times. You know, we've got the battleground to breaking ground that we're working with. We're planning with the New Mexico Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. If you haven't heard of that, that's statewide. It's also within a state agency. And that is where trained vocational rehabilitation counselors help people who have disabilities, or whether they're just obvious or whether they're not obvious, to get a business plan, work through their process, and get them working. That's that whole focus of, that's primarily federally funded, and also some state funding. So we're planning a day on the farm where those workers of all levels with New Mexico DVR will have more of an understanding of the food growers, because they're maybe geared for overall, and this is a real niche that we'd like them to know. The New Mexico Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum down south is real interested in doing a exhibit on the New Mexico AgrAbility project, and so that's real exciting. I don't know if you have been down there, but it is a wonderful facility, and I know they do lots of school things, but I think anybody will benefit from all of the things that they have there. And we're hoping that we can bring the National. The National does an AgrAbility training workshop every year, and we're hoping that possibly we can bring them to New Mexico. So these are some of the bigger projects around just the general everyday trainings that we do, and the information and referral, and trying to do direct services with people to help them figure out what are some good ideas for them to adapt so that they can continue to provide food for us because we like to live, so we all need food. And then the next slide is just a sweet little visual, and some of these people are still involved with our group. Sonia's sitting down in the blue top, and I'm standing behind her in the black and white top. As you can see, UNM is there, Mandy's Farm is there. Our primary PI on this project, Dr. Robert Hugelvert, is there on the far left. But this is just how we, here's our information. You have it. Reach out to us. We're happy to work with you. And then the last two slides are just a reminder. The second to the last, which is the next slide, is just, again, it takes a team, and these are our 4 partners: Mandy's Farm, UNM Occupational Therapy Graduate Program, NMTAP, and of course our primary extension. And I'm happy to take people's questions, but on the last slide, I'm going to ask you all a question first. NMTAP, and of course our primary extension. Right, exactly. Thank you for that. So I'm going to say, what ways do you see our programs working together? All of you here, whether you're, whatever your reason is that you're here, let's brainstorm, ask questions, and let's brainstorm about how we can kind of work together. I open the floor.
Thank you so much, Tracy. If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or another alternative you can use is the chat box.
And you have our contact information. So
Yes,
if questions
I
come
can go
up
back.
later, if questions come up later, feel free to email, or you can contact Dr. Hagwort. We're very accessible.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free. The floor is open right now. If you have any questions about the program that these guys are running, feel free to unmute yourself, or like what the lady said here, you can email them. They have their email here and their phone number, and they actually have a website as well. Is there any other questions?
Hi, this is Marge. You provided a lot of good opportunities that we, the Navajo Nation, could greatly get and tap with to utilize these services for our community services. Those clients that are in need to become self-sufficient by learning a lot of things, so they can become independent. Yes, we are on the Navajo Nation, and I'm one of the community leader in one of the small community organization here on the Navajo Nation. And I know we have the tribal departments that are directly working with the vocational rehab on the Navajo Nation. I really think this is a great opportunity for the Navajo Nation vocational rehab programs to tap into, to have their clients explore in these areas. And I really like the idea that you are working with Mandy's farm. And it would be a great idea, like if we ever implement this services on the Navajo Nation, that if we have a local farmer, I think this would really benefit the referral individual to learn and to benefit from this organization. So I just want to extend my appreciation for sharing this great program, and we will greatly benefit from it. And I want to share this with one of the individual that I know that works with the vocational rehab. Maybe they can reach out to you and see how they can work with you. and that's an individual from the vocational rehab in Crown Point. So I just want to say thank you. If you don't mind, I'll share the information with them, or maybe I'll tell them to watch this video afterwards when it's published on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. I think both C, A, and B, you know, reach out. They can watch this. I'm just noticing on this, our email is misspelled. It's NMAGRABILT. It's ability. So I think the link will probably still take you to the right place, but just we'll have to correct that. I just want to make a note that it's NMAGRABILTY@gmail. It might be better on the previous one. I think we have it in here a couple.
Yeah, I believe you do have like one of the slides here. This one?
Yeah,
Yes.
there it
It's
is.
right.
Mhm.
It's right in that right upper corner.
Right
And-
here. So those of you that are looking, here's the right email.
And yes, and thank you for your comments. I see it's Marjorie, I believe. And
Yes, it's
you know,
Marjorie.
thank you so much for speaking up. And if at any time you would like a representative to come and maybe speak to farmers, ranchers, small groups of people, we're more than willing to do that as well.
Right, and also maybe to connect with, you know, the vocational rehabilitation resources that you have. I know that the New Mexico DVR, NMDVR, also works with people on the Navajo Nation, but you know, I think if we're working together, that's just so much better. And so we welcome any connections, Marjorie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a really good question. So I really like that one. Do you guys have any more questions? We still have a couple more minutes to open up for another question. If not, then we'll move on.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and share our New Mexico AgrAbility project with you. Really appreciate everybody being
Thank
here.
you guys. This was really interesting. Actually, let's pin the conversation for a moment. We do have a comment under the chat. So Brenda did ask, do you work with the farmer markets locally?
We've had tables at some of the farmers markets. I also know that, but we can't, you know, it's not like we're a group of 15 to 20 people, you know what I mean? So if we're happy to go to the farmers markets, and I know Mandy's Farm, some of their apprentices will sell stuff at the farmers markets. So, you know, there is some connections to farmers markets, and we're always open to more. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you. I really do wish that we have a farmers market here in Crown Point, but we do have farmers market, the nearest one in Farmington. So definitely there and Shiprock. But other than that, thank you ladies for providing this presentation. And whenever you guys decide to host another regional conference that you guys just mentioned and talked about, we would really love a flyer from you guys and really want to spread all the information with our community members here. So I believe there's another chat. Okay. Brenda, thank you. All right. Well, with that being said, here's information referral for you guys. If you guys want to, you guys can screenshot from your phones, or if you are logging in from a laptop, if you know how to you're very tech savvy, you can perhaps screenshot from your laptop as well. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. And I did forget to release our poll for today. So if you don't mind completing that poll for me, I would really appreciate it. But with that being said, our webinar is concluded, and I just want to thank Sonia and Tracy for coming on here. And this is really interesting. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be in touch. We're going to work together.
Yeah,
We will.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys very soon. If you guys want, you guys can step off, or you can stay throughout our session. This is more going to be talking about our project and some upcoming events that we have for NSA project. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I will oh, and also, if anyone on here would like a PowerPoint slide from today's presentation, I'm more than happy to provide you a copy. So Tracy and Sonia were kind enough to share their slides with us. So if you're interested, do let me know and I can email you guys a slide. So with that being said, let me just fix my slides, and I hope you guys can all see that. I have two monitors on, so one's showing split screen and the other one is showing a full-on screen. So this week we have a seed starting workshop that's going to be hosted in person, and this is going to be taking place on Thursday, not the 21st. My mistake, that's tomorrow, but this is going to be seed starting workshop on Thursday, February 22nd from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And if you're in a Crown Point area, it's going to be at the Crown Point Wellness Center. This one will be near the flea market and Dene youth program, the Boys and Girls Club. So it's not going to be at the NTU Wellness, but this one's going to be at the Crown Point Wellness up by the Crown Point High School, if you remember that way. And we will also have another in-person, sorry, my mistake. We will have another webinar next month on March 5th, and this will be on bull selection. So this will be presented by Dr. Marcy Ward, coming from the main campus at New Mexico State University in Las Cruces. So maybe some of you all heard of her. She's been on this platform a couple of times. She provided a lot of great presentation on livestock related topics. And I did forget to mention who is going to be the presenter for this week's workshop. And that is Josh Toddy. And most of you may have been familiar with him through TikTok or Instagram. He is the High Desert Gardener person that is behind his gardening profile. And he is going to be the spokesperson for our seed starting workshop. And he also has a website as well, and that the manager of the Hojon Voices of Healing Center. So he has a lot of great workshops coming up too, as well as composting for this month. So I would check out his website. But other than that, I just want to thank you everyone for coming on here. And let's see if I talked about everything. Okay. Oh, I did touch a little bit about the conservation planning program. So don't forget, this is free of charge, and this goes for farmers or ranchers that are in both Eastern and Northern Navajo agencies. So if you are a grazing permittee and you are in need of a conservation plan, a basic conservation plan, we are more welcome to help you out to complete a draft with several of our technical assistants. One of them is on here. So she works out in Northern Agency, and that is Tiffany Toles. So thanks, Tiffany, for coming on here. And we also have our resource specialist that is in charge of our conservation planning program, and that is Shirley Toth. So she's on here. And if you guys are in need to get in contact with Shirley to schedule in yourselves in for a conservation plan, feel free. There's our email, and the next website or the next tab will show our personal email. So you can get a hold of me, and if you are wanting to get a conservation plan drafted, then Shirley Toth is the person to talk to. But other than that, thank you all for joining us this evening. We're on Facebook. Once we get this webinar edited, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel next week. So thank you, everyone, and you guys all have a good rest of your evening. So to begin, we're known as the Navajo Sustainable Agriculture Project, and in short, we're called the NSA Project. We're funded by the USDA Outreach and Assistance for Native Farmers and Ranchers and Veteran Farmers and Ranchers Program. So our main goal are to help producers with resources to help them improve their operations, profitability, and sustainability. We deliver workshops based on the reviews we gather from our producers, as well as share management, livestock management practices during cattle and sheep and goat cycles. Currently, we have been conducting workshops in person on livestock record keeping. We've done sheep and goat vaccinations, cattle marketing, and more. During these workshops and webinars, we are always appreciative to our project partners, Dene College, Land Grant Office, and our NMSU CES specialists, who always assist us in delivering our agriculture-related workshops for our producers. After our webinar, I will be happy to share with this month's activities and events. Events of workshops and webinars. Not to mention, we do have a conservation planning program we offer in collaboration with Dene College Land Grant Office. We assist ranchers and farmers with helping them develop a basic conservation plan. This can be later discussed after our presentation tonight to give you guys kind of an overview of what our CP program is. And another goal of ours is to increase our producers' knowledge of USDA programs. I'm sure you all are well aware of the NRCS and FSA programs. We host virtual resource fairs to give the USDA local field offices a stage to share some of their local programs producers can apply for, whether there are ranchers looking to apply for forage drought loss assistance, or even crop disaster assistance to apply for EQIP under NRCS. And lastly, our goal is to help increase local fresh food production in areas that we serve. And those are McKinley, San Juan, and Cibola County. For our garden projects, we've been using the expertise of COPE, which you see one of their logos are right here too. Dene College Land Grant Office, one of them as well, and the NMSU specialist. So you have been perhaps on our virtual content. We had weekly webinars, and some folks such as Ms. Palmer from COPE deliver on food preservation, gardening planning, and seed selection. We had one of the extension agents coming from the Dene College Land Grant, Daryl Yazzie, touch base on gardening, soil amendments, and even one of our specialists coming from the NMSU campus, Dr. Walker, she delivered on spring vegetable gardening, and there was so much more. Currently, we are providing insight on gardening in person, mostly held in Crown Point, as well as assisting in establishing gardening projects in schools.